After 5 years and we finally get a 3D Sonic game that's good, this is Sonic Frontiers. You start the game as Sonic is standing on the plane. How the hell would he do that in a thunderstorm? It's been 5 years. I wonder how Sonic sounds.
Track the Chaos Emeralds here, right?
Jesus Christ, his voice is deep. When suddenly... So instead of prioritizing momentum like we all hope for, Sonic has the boost in this game, but it controls like a dream. Never before in a Sonic game, at least I think so, have we been able to make turns this tight and this smooth. That alone makes Frontiers extremely satisfying to control. But there's more to it. If you're grinding on any rail in the game, boost and then jump, you will go fucking flying across the map. Because of this, I almost never use the fast travel in this game because I can just launch myself to the other side as fast as I want to. In terms of control, this is by far my favorite thing about the game. My only problem with this is, how come this isn't implemented into Sonic's moveset itself, and it's only able to be done on rails? Because if you try normally jumping while you're boosting, nothing happens. All momentum is killed with the jump. It's really unsatisfying. And sadly, my gripes with the controls don't stop there. In most situations where Sonic is running, it's gonna feel like he's stuck to the floor, which he basically is. Even as far back as the IGN showcases, people did not like how this looked, and it feels even worse. I'd say even with that though, this is probably the best controlling Sonic we've ever had. That sounds kinda sad, but it still feels really, really good. Well, anyway, let's move forward. Yeah, so something about the game that I should probably mention, it's kinda glitchy. Not like Color's Ultimate Seizure glitches, I mean like this, where the automation fucks me over. And sadly, that's not the only problem. In terms of collision, what the fuck? Enough! Just chill. Just go fishing instead. So this is a part of the game that I don't think anyone expected them to put in, but I, for one, am very happy that they did. I don't know, it's just a lot of fun just tossing in your line and just seeing what you're gonna get. The music's super relaxing. I really like this song. And honestly, this is one of my best memories with this game. Handing the Switch around between my friends and seeing what fish they were gonna get before class started. Overall, fishing is a nice break from the game. It really relaxes the tone of everything and you just get to chill. That is until you start to take it seriously and realize that you can get through the entire game by just fishing. You can farm almost every single thing in the game that you can collect purely from fishing. The economy here is so busted. It's kind of funny though. It shouldn't be like this, I agree. Whoever might have said that. But whatever, I think it's fun.
What kind of place is this?
But anyway, you mess around on the island a little bit, and then the mini-bosses in this game, or as the game calls them, Guardians, for the most part, are pretty fun. I really liked Tower in the beginning, and Asura was decent enough to climb up. It was kind of jank feeling though, but overall it was still pretty fun. And Squid is just a fun little spectacle. I feel like it goes on for a bit too long, but I like it. Then the matter of combat comes into picture. I think some moves are really fun to use, but other ones feel like they take way too long, or they don't really have a lot of lasting impact. For example, this move, where Sonic summons the 7 Dragon Balls and shoots them at an enemy. It looks okay, I'm just not a fan of how 1, Sonic is static, and 2, you can't really move out of this, because as far as I know, this is the only move that Sonic cannot act out of. And when I mean act out of, there is one move in particular that when you use it, it'll interrupt any move that Sonic is currently doing in an attack. The Wild Rush, which is activated by dodging and then pressing the attack button. For some reason, the dodge is always highest priority when it comes to combat, so you're able to interrupt every single move, for some reason except for this one in particular, with the Wild Rush, and it's really satisfying to string together a bunch of combos. Pulling off all of these moves in quick succession is extremely fun to do in this game. It's really satisfying watching Sonic tear through enemies like he never has before. So while I agree that yes, this could be better, I'm still having a ton of fun with it. Got your ass. Yo, buddy, you good? Oh. But after you fight these enemies, you'll look up in the sky and see a bunch of rails. The point of these rails is so that at the end of them, you collect a memory token. These memory tokens help you unlock parts of the story that involve Amy, Tails, and Knuckles. As this is most of the platforming in this game, I found it to be a lot of fun. Every single one of the islands, except for one, was a ton of fun to go through all these platforming challenges and get a reward at the end. Whoa, what the fuck? What the fuck was that? At one point on Kronos Island, the game actually makes you do this mission. In this mission, you use the Psy Loop to cut up some grass, and you avoid some bees and some pod things. I don't actually know what these are. At first, you might think this is a pretty easy challenge, but once you figure out when exactly the side loop starts to close in on itself, then it gets a bit more challenging because then you have to rush yourself and try and finish as quickly as possible. But if you use the boost, then you're able to get through this pretty quickly. Overall, this was a pretty fun mission. I like trying to get through this as quickly as I can, and yeah, it was fun. Something that I do want to mention though, this isn't really related to this mission in particular, but the game as a whole. There is a leveling up system where you can upgrade Sonic's attack and defense, but wouldn't it have been cool if we could also increase the length of the side loop? Now yes, past this mission, there isn't really anything that you need to do with the side loop that requires you to draw like big circles, but I think allowing that to be upgraded would have been pretty cool, but it's not in the game. However, you can also go into cyberspace. These are more akin to the boost formula levels, and they suck quite a bit in this game. I just don't understand how you can go from the best controlling Sonic that we've ever had to one of the worst in the exact same game. I'm pretty sure that everyone who has played this cyberspace stage in particular has had this exact same moment where they run against the wall, and that's because Sonic just cannot make that turn. And for some reason, Cyberspace 1-2 is impossibly hard to S-rank. For the second cyberspace level, it should not be that difficult. However, when I look at cyberspace for what it is in this specific game, it is essentially a side mode that you can do to unlock more in the game. And retrying them over and over to get the S-rank, ring count, and red ring count is a ton of fun. Even though it doesn't control the best, I still enjoyed my time in cyberspace for the most part. But let me get one thing straight. I am not excusing the reuse of level design. I am not excusing the reuse of level aesthetics for what, the 8th time? I don't want to see Green Hill Zone in the game ever again. I am so sick of it. And the 2D controls in this can just get the fuck out. It is horrible in cyberspace. But I would still say overall, I enjoyed my time in cyberspace. Oh, I'm alive. Oh, thank God. So after running around the open zone for a little bit, you make the first encounter with Giganto. And this guy picks you up and throws you across the fucking land like it's nothing. Now that we know what the big threat of this island is, you make your way through and try and find as many Chaos Emeralds as you can, specifically this diamond structure here. I think this was one of the highest moments of the game. The scope of this one platforming challenge felt like an entire Sonic level that was suspended in the air. Because it was. Platforming that wasn't super easy, but not impossible to complete until you make your way up to the top and you collect the Chaos Emerald. And after doing all of that, the game makes you do this puzzle. Jesus Christ, it took me 15 minutes. But anyway, you make your way up the waterfall and come face to face once again with Giganto. The last Chaos Emerald is actually on top of his head, so you have to use what you learned in the Asura boss and climb your way up to the top of him. I think this was a pretty neat way of bringing back an old mechanic, but then you reach his head and you collect the 7th Emerald. This is the most hyped I've ever been in a video game. Just the idea of this Supersonic boss being a more powerful version of the character that you've been playing for the last 2 hours is genius. I can't believe this is the first time they've really done this in the series. Being able to absolutely demolish this beast that threw you across the entire island and fucked up your shit good. This feels amazing to fight against. And the music, dude, oh my god. One of my favorite things to do when fighting against this boss is using the parry, but then instead of using the counter attack, you're able to hit him with your other moves before the timer for using the counter attack goes up. You're able to get really creative with the side loop because yes, you can actually use that in these Supersonic bosses. Once you use the side loop, a wind current will push him into the sky and you get to dish out a bunch of attacks on him. Just be cautious because he can still attack you. But then you can side loop him one more time and he'll go rocketing towards the ground and you get to do even more attacks on him. That's why I love these boss fights so much. You're able to use your moveset in its entirety against these titans. And so you finally take him down and you get this amazing cutscene.
Nah, that's cool.
I didn't want this to be easy anyway.
And now we've reached Rhea Island. This open zone is full of sand dunes and canyons for you to run through. As soon as you start playing in this island, you'll notice that's a lot more open than Kronos Island. Not only that, but there's a bunch of new enemies here too. One of my favorites is the spring enemy here. By far, the most satisfying enemy to kill in the entire franchise. But then there's this enemy here. Stay away from it. If you go anywhere near it, it'll take away the camera and your field of view is completely gone. God damn it. Fuck! And then there's also the shark enemy. At first, I thought this was a pretty cool mini-boss, but the entire chase section goes on for far too long. I don't like fighting against this one. And then there's Strider, which I think is alright, but I think it just takes far too long to get to the middle of him. But if you don't do enough damage, then you have to redo the process, but even harder this time, with projectiles that are trying to hit you as you grind around him. But if you're able to defeat Strider in the time you have, it's really satisfying. I had a thrill trying to kill it as fast as I could. Alright. Oh, fuck. Shit. Fucking get him. Fuck. Okay. Oh, shit. What the fuck? However, I think the next mini-boss might just be the best one in the game. The sumo mini-boss was super fun. Once you approach this guardian, these guardrails form out of the ground, and you have to figure out what exactly you're supposed to do to hit him. Once you either homing attack him or the guardrails, he'll launch you into the fence, and then you have to ricochet off of all the walls, just like in the Sonic movie. But then once you hit him and rocket him into the electric fence, you're able to unleash a bunch of attacks on him until he's defeated. I see. Oh, whoa. The fuck? Oh, okay, finally. Let's do it again, and yeah. This game fucking sucks. But to get back on the topic of exploration, I think this, out of all 5 islands, is the most fun to run through. This massive desert is so vast and open, and finding little secrets and caverns to explore is super fun. There's even this underground section that looks super cool. Sonic, what is wrong with your legs? And actually, Frontier's exploration reminds me of a Sonic game we got a couple years back. Oh, come on, you all know the game. But once you run around for a little bit, the Titan of this area chases after you, after Sage orders it to. This little chase segment was actually really fun, running away from all these missiles as you escape from this big centipede-looking thing, so you finally make it to a safe spot. What's weird, though, is that immediately after you escape from Wyvern, you can just talk to Sage in the open world. This was a thing on Kronos, too, and I just don't understand why. It's kind of awkward just talking to them after that, but anyways. After you escape from Wyvern, you'll have another incentive to go to the cyberspace portals. And I gotta say, the cyberspace levels in Rhea Island are a lot better than the ones on Kronos. I found the level that was based on Skyrail from Sonic Adventure 2 to be a ton of fun. Something I want to mention is that there's this one cyberspace portal that's next to this grassy area that has some ponds in it, and for some reason, this area in particular really stood out to me. It looked really nice. However, something that I don't think is neat about Rhea Island is the mission where you have to save the Cocos. For some reason, the Cocos are like under these death spike pillar things, and you have to save them. And the more you get, the faster you go, and just... Alright, let's go. Alright. Oh, okay. Got you. Okay, you too. Okay, you. Yep. Let's go. You too. Alright. Alright, let's fucking go! Fuck, no more messing around, I can save you all, oh my god! God damn, what am I even supposed to do here? Another thing about Rhea Island that I'm not really a fan of, similar to Kronos, is the pop-in. I wouldn't say it's as bad as Kronos, because at least with Rhea, it's all sand, which means there isn't really anything to load in when it comes to ground terrain. But the way all these tiles and platforms keep just popping into existence right in front of you, you can get used to it, but it does take you out of it pretty frequently. You know what I find weird about Rhea Island? It has both a Coco mission where you have to like push the Cocos towards Knuckles, and this time they actually shoot like smoke bombs, which I think was actually a pretty good challenge. And there's also the mission where you save the Cocos from the spike thingies, which you just saw me lose my shit at. But then there's also a mission where you have to just defeat 4 towers. Nothing really happens after it, so I don't think it really needed to be there, but it's there. But I mean, hey, this is actually how I learned that you can not only run up tower, but when you're on the top of his head, stomping is one of the best things that you can do to defeat it. So really, I do think this mission was fun. I just don't really understand why it's here. But anyway, back to positives. The potential for rail launching is super high here. You can pull off some crazy stuff here and skip across these huge areas. No, fuck that shit. Oh, fuck. Oh, okay. Yeah, me. And next to all these floating rails on this island in particular, there's this one platforming segment that leads to a Chaos Emerald. And this whole segment is a really fun ride trying to get to the Chaos Emerald in the most creative way that you can. And the way all these like gear, whatever they're called, things are moving around and the fact we're really high over the water, this game is so beautiful. There's actually another one of these platforming segments on Rhea Island, next to one of the Eggman ships, and this one is equally good. Both of these have some of the best platforming in the entire game. Alright, we gotta go find Knuckles. Oh. Well. Wait. What the hell was that? Alright, now we have everything that we need to go against the Titan. But of course, we have to do the puzzle of this island. Alright, let's see what this one's like. Oh. Why is this like a billion times easier than Kronos Island? Anyways, we meet up with Wyvern once again, and we have to climb up one of the towers to meet him at the top. And again, it's a pretty fun platforming segment, and then Sonic grabs onto Wyvern, and then he makes a red trail of vomit. That's actually disgusting. And then Sonic runs on said vomit in a quick step section, and we're finally in reach of the Emerald. Come on. You can do it. Jesus Christ. And here we are again with another Titan battle. And I think that out of every single Titan battle in this game, the scope of this one is by far the best in the whole game. The massive desert that you've been exploring for the last several hours. Now, you're tearing through this entire island as Supersonic as you fight this huge-ass beast. I think that was a perfect way to cap off Ares and everything that you've done on this island. And this boss actually requires you to use the parry if you ever want to get hits on him. He fires out a bunch of missiles at you, so you gotta deflect them right back at him. And again, once you get close to him, you can tear him apart with all the moves that you have so far, because now you have a lot more moves than you did on Kronos Island. And I think that once you parry one of his attacks, you enter this cutscene where Sonic grabs him and swings him around until he throws him into a canyon. That is badass. And again, we have the Psyloop. The first time that you Psyloop him, both of his arms get trapped in chains and he isn't able to move. But then, when you Psyloop him the second time, then the chains go around his neck and he screams in agony as you fuck him up. God damn, this is a pretty memorable moment to me. Because actually, I was on a football trip with my high school team, and I think my reaction in this picture is very telling as to how much I enjoyed this. It was the championship game we lost. And actually, let's talk about that music. This is another fantastic song. However, I don't think it's as good as Undefeatable. I only have one problem with the song, and that's the fact that it only has one chorus. Now, it's a very good chorus. It's a very long chorus, actually. It goes on for like 40 seconds. It's great. But I find this song very hard to sing along to, because most of it is instrumental, which, yes, I adore that. The song is great. Like, this is definitely an S-tier song. But I feel like they could have implemented the chorus in a bit more, like how they did with Undefeatable, and another song that we will discuss later. But yeah, this is an amazing boss. And it finishes off with Sonic opening Wyvern's mouth, and the rest of the missiles go straight inside of him, and it caps off with this.
Screw you, Angry Birds!
Well, here we are, Chaos Island. And, well, I'm not gonna lie. At this point of the game, I'd say it's actually been pretty good. Like, really good, even. But then you get to Chaos, and it's just... When I was playing the other islands at Sonic Frontiers, I was actually pretty surprised that there wasn't that much 2D in them. I mean, yes, cyberspace does have some 2D. Compared to, like, at least the last decade of Sonic, 2D has been extremely prevalent throughout every single game. But I mean, so far, it seemed like there wasn't gonna be that much 2D in this game.
Oh no, they put it all the way on the fucking islands.
I swear to God, almost every single platforming segment in this goddamn island is in 2D. Now listen, on its own, this wouldn't be too bad of a thing, but let's just back it up. If we just stop and look at Sonic's control in the open world, you can make the sharpest turns that I have ever seen in a Sonic game. All of the combat moves that you've been unlocking since the very start of the game, the quick step, the stomp, the brand new feature to this game, the Psy Loop, all of them are very important parts of the game, and they are all able to be used in the 3D parts of the worlds. But when you go into 2D, you can no longer use any of your combos except for the homing attack. The quick step is something that is physically impossible to be used in 2D, and the Psy Loop, how the hell are you gonna draw a circle in 2D? And listen, facts are facts. In 2D, you can only move left and right. I have no problem with 2D in my 3D Sonic game. I have no problem with Sonic games that are exclusively 2D. My problem with this, in this specific game, the entire marketing has been you can go where you want, when you want. You have the freedom to go anywhere in these huge islands for basically the first time in Sonic history, and you, the player, you have the option to do anything that you want in these islands. When you lock the player into 2 dimensions, all of that is gone because you took 360 directions and reduced it to 2. So Sonic Team, just let me ask you this. What makes you think that making what is essentially a fourth of your game go completely against what is not only the whole point of the game, the marketing, and what all your fans like, but take away features that are in the exact same game that you're putting these features in? I just can't wrap my head around what is the point of having these 2D sections in the game to begin with. Is it less work to put 2D sections in? I mean, it would have to be if they were going to go this far as to make what is essentially the entire island 2D. My only guess as to why this is all 2D is because Sonic is slower in 2D, which means because of that the game will be longer because the third island is full of 2D sections. So Sonic Team's method to make the game longer is to do the literal opposite thing of what the game is trying to do. These are both two very backwards things that do not work with each other. I'd almost say that this is false advertising because you can't really say that the game is about freedom when in a fourth of it, you are definitely not free. Even when you do the things that you had no problem doing in the previous islands, now there's a whole lot more issues that come with that. So sometimes on the ground in the previous islands, there were these treasure chest icons. When you Psy Loop them, you'll get a little reward. It can be a memory token, a portal gear, a key, stuff like that. However, on Chaos Island, it can be that, but most of the time, it's going to be a dash pad or a spring, and because you expect it to be literally anything but those things, you're gonna stand right in the middle of it. And when you stand in the middle of it, you're gonna get launched with the thing that you definitely did not want to go on. So Chaos Island is not only going against the entire design of the game, but it is grabbing the player and forcing them somewhere that they do not want to be. Don't even fucking think about telling me that Big's Fishing is the solution to this. I am not letting an optional side mode excuse horrible design. And if you want to go to Big's Fishing on this island in particular, I'd say 9 times out of 10 you will run into a 2D section because 1, you have to search through the entire island to try and find Big's Fishing, and 2, the 2D sections are everywhere. Even something as simple as picking up a collectible just does not properly work. Oh my god. Are you fucking serious? Dude, this is why 2D does not work for this game. So yeah, for the entire game, I'd say Chaos Island is by far the lowest point of the game. But this island is not all bad. I think the setting is amazing. I'd even say that it's the most interesting one in the game. That being said, I am only comparing this to Sonic Frontiers and not other Sonic games because, say, compared to Sonic Colors or Unleashed, yeah, the whole game has nothing on those in particular, or most Sonic games. They're pretty boring aesthetics, but anyways. This is a volcanic island that is split up into smaller islands, and as you go around the island, small sparks and embers will appear on your screen, and they provide good detail for the setting. And if you climb one of the mountains in particular, it's actually covered in ice, which I think is pretty cool. I'm just sad that my favorite setting has by far the worst platforming. Oh yeah, and there's also some lava somewhere. Oh, okay. And what's weird, actually, you can't go inside of this volcano. Even though it's the most distinguishable part of this island, you can't really go in it. And this doesn't count because there's nothing to do in here. However, just because you can't go inside of the volcano doesn't mean you can't make it to the top of it. Nope. Yes! Yes! Oh! Damn it! Yes, 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 yes! Yeah, no. Fuck. Oh my god, go. Go. Oh, oh. Oh my god. Oh, oh! No, no! Yes, yes! And next to those icy mountains, there's these weird dark pillar things that are shooting out of the ground. And, well, yeah, there's not a whole lot to do here, but it looks really cool. Oh, big jump. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And just like on the other islands, cyberspace is here. And I think compared to the previous two, this one takes a pretty big hit in terms of the quality of the stages. There's two in particular that I really want to point out. This one is 100% 2D, and because Sonic just does not control good in 2D, and this level is like really long, and the level feels oddly designed, almost like it wasn't made for this kind of Sonic. But next is where we hit rock bottom. To me, the worst cyberspace stage in the entire game. It is loosely based off of the drifting level in Savannah Citadel from Sonic Unleashed, and the key word in that is drift. Sonic Frontiers doesn't have a drift, unless it's this level. When you go off of these panels, Sonic will start drifting when you tilt the analog stick. The problem with this is by far the worst Sonic has ever controlled with the drift. Not only that, but it brings the flow of the level to a screeching halt every single time you go on one of these pads. The way that I recommend you play this level, and what is actually the faster route, is to jump over the panels and mash the boost button so then you can properly control yourself around the turns. That is the dumbest workaround ever. After using cyberspace keys to get a Chaos Emerald, you then come face to face with the big, huge, scary fucking desk chair. But then something interesting happens. This time, Sonic's getaway is actually using Squid, which is one of the mini-bosses that you fought back on Kronos Island. That is a very creative way of reusing an idea and blending it together with another one. And with that, we begin our escape from the evil chair. Oh man, how is it gonna play out? It's in 2D. Why would you make this in 2D? You literally fight this same boss on this island and it's in 3D. Kronos Island, it was in 3D. Why would you change it for this one small section? Like, what was the point of it? Oh my god. It's an okay section. You run away from the saw blade. It's kind of fun. If it was in 3D, I feel like it would have been a lot more interesting. You could have even made it like that one boss from Sonic Colors. But really, this whole section, again, just proves how 2D just does not work with this kind of Sonic. The way that Sonic runs in 2D is significantly slower than how he runs in 3D. Jumping in 3D already doesn't feel that great, but when you do it in 2D, it feels even worse. More than ever, Sonic just comes to a complete stop. I will say I enjoyed this a little bit, but it's not the best. Since we're on this topic, let's talk about Squid. When you fight him on this island, it's basically the exact same as on Kronos Island, but because the mountains here go a lot higher than on Kronos, you can actually attack him from above and get a really big head start on him. Speaking of Squid, there's two mini bosses on this island that I want to point out. First of which being Spider. It wants you to side loop its legs, but for some reason the camera, it locks itself, so then it becomes really difficult to side loop it. It feels a little bit janky there, but then once you homing attack the head of him, he shoots you all the way up into the sky, and then you skydive down, and on the way down, you want to fly into these blue ring things, because once you reach the bottom, all of them crash into him and you're able to attack him. And at this point in the game, you're given a new move, Cross Slash. It is similar to the Sonic Boom, and I'm not sure if it's actually better than it, like it does more damage, but I like this move. Next up is Fortress. Honestly, I don't know how to activate him. I'm pretty sure when you just go to a specific point on the island, he just shows up. But anyways, this one is very similar to Squid, except this time you're on rails and you're going towards him, so not very creative. Once you get close enough to him, he forms like the exact same platform that Squid uses. But the reason I want to point this out, if the Starfall event is active when you're fighting this thing, it is impossible to fight this thing and know what you're doing. Look at this footage. It is so difficult to know what is coming and react in time. And I guess on the topic of Starfall, let's talk about that. It's very annoying. It just stays on the screen with this big ass roulette table, and the only thing that you really get out of it is more Big's fishing tokens. And I mean, I guess that's helpful, but why can't we turn this off? Or can we at least make this go by a lot faster, because this goes on for like 5 minutes. It doesn't really do anything for me except for obscuring my view. And speaking of random stuff blocking my view, what the? No, I didn't mean it! There's also these birds on this island. At first, you might think that they're just a normal enemy, but actually, you're able to ride it if you parry its attack and then jump on it. And I gotta say, I felt like a genius when I skipped across this part of the island with the bird, except for when the Switch, blinded me. I don't know what this was. What the? Dude, can the Switch not handle clouds? This is burning my eye. However, the real way to get to this part of the island, you actually go underground there where you find a Chaos Emerald. And I really wish this game had more of the underground sections, because this is the last time that we see it in the game. And it's only like 3 times that you see it. And it's really interesting to run through this. What is happening? But then after this, you're able to get more of the Chaos Emeralds. One of them in particular, you have to break these boxes. And this mission was actually a lot of fun. The fact that the platforms fall after a little bit really puts a good amount of stress on the player to make them hurry up. And a fun strat that I found is to slide into the boxes, jump, and then stomp, which actually somehow instantly makes the box explode if it's not too big. But then the next mission. This, honestly, was one of the most challenging parts of the game. Bridge the gap. Sonic jumps all the way up into the sky, and then you have to skydive down and avoid all these targets. This doesn't sound too complicated, but the timer is very strict on this one, which I really liked. I genuinely really liked the challenge of this one. It felt very fun while also being difficult, which, for example, compared to the Kronos Island mission, which, yes, it was difficult, I didn't really enjoy myself because I had no idea what the hell I was doing. In this one, it felt like if I didn't reach the ground in time, it was my fault. It felt to me like a mission that relied on skill and nothing else. However, I bring up these two missions in particular because the song that plays in it is so good. Besides the Titan themes, this is my favorite song in the game. I implore all of you to go and listen to this song. Bridge the Gap is amazing. And with all of that out of the way, it's time to do the last puzzle of this island, the Island Mystery.
Oh my god!
And for this mystery, it's just fucking pinball! And not just any pinball, bad pinball. Whenever the flippers hit the ball, the movement just feels super unnatural. And it requires 5 million points! With all of the other missions in the game, they at least all felt like it relied at least a little bit on skill. If you fail in this, however, it doesn't really feel like it's your fault because the ball has a mind of its own and it just goes wherever the hell it wants. Oh, yes, finally! No, no, no! Now that we're out of that mess, the lava from the volcano parts a path through all the way down to a crater, and the evil chair himself resides in this crater. Ow. Bro, what the fuck? Whoa, holy shit! Oh my god, is that possible? Whoa, that may be a little too low. Oh! Alright, here we go, we're making it to the top! No, 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 no! Okay, we're still in this, Make it, okay. Oh. Okay, we're good.
I'm here to go beyond my limit, not to compromise.
And here we are with another Titan battle. While I don't think this reaches the scope of Wyvern, this is so cool. How do you make a chair even more badass? You give it a sword. Not only that, but you make his arm a shield, which also doubles as a saw blade. And then you make the chair throw the saw blade at you, you parry it away, a whole bunch of adrenaline inside of you starts rising up as you see a bunch of missiles zooming towards you, and then ride it down and drill it into its face. Although a weird quirk about him is that he has like roller skate.
They're air shoes.
The side loop also makes a return here. This time when you use it, yellow spears shoot up from the ground and stab him through the back. But then if you use it one more time, a trident forms in the sky and stabs him through the chest and shoots him all the way down towards the ground. I never wanted to destroy a chair more in my life. But then something new happens. Something exclusive to this boss in particular. His saw blade starts bouncing around the crater, and this creates a puzzle of sorts where you have to parry the shield and then aim it back at him. I thought this was actually really unique and interesting because we've never really seen this in any of the Titan battles. And then we have the music. The previous two Titan themes were sung by Cullen Quinn of Sleeping with Sirens. Joining him for this song is Tyler Smith, who sang the Infinite song as well as the Fist Bump Edgy remix. Both of those are fantastic songs, and he does an even better job here. This song is fast-paced, full of energy, and when Cullen Quinn screams the chorus of the song, it just hits right. However, what I think this boss excels at compared to every other Titan battle is the spectacle of all of the cutscenes. Even when Sonic gets hit backwards, there's an additional cutscene where he shakes himself off and gets back up. But this next cutscene is one of my favorites. So in this cutscene, Sonic goes fucking crazy and ping-pongs around every single one of his legs over and over until he topples over, and then uppercuts the shit out of this guy, and then heel spikes him right in the fucking face. Even the cutscene where Sonic parries away the saw blade and then jumps on it looks amazing. And the chair can also parry away the attack. This is so damn cool. And then Sonic, with his bare hands, is able to stop a sword 100 times his size from slicing him in half. And he's even able to push it away from
You wanna see something cool?
And you know what? Let's just get serious for a second. This next part really is important to me. Sonic and the Black Knight is my favorite Sonic game. And when Sonic side-looped the sword, and for the first time in over 13 years, he picked up a sword again and sliced this thing in half, I genuinely started crying. Chaos Island may not have been all that great, but it ended on a hell of a good note.
You should kill yourself now.
What country you from?
Why
What ain't no country I ever heard of? English, motherfucker. Do you speak it? Describe what
Tails.
looks like. What? Does he look like a bitch? What? Oh, well, allow me to retort.
Where's the fun in that?
And here we are, we're now back on Kronos? Wait, what the fuck? Okay, Sega, I see where your head's at, you lying assholes. You know, it's not really fair of you to say that this game has 5 islands all over the advertising, when the fourth one, in quotation marks, is literally just the second half of the first island that you blocked off, and there's nothing in it. It's not even like they tried to hide that this was the second half, because you can literally just see the other half right there. And even then, you're able to walk around the place that you fought Gigantoin. Oh, but don't worry, it gets better. If you stand right here, you're able to see another outline of what seems to be another island. I wonder what this is leading to. The only thing that you really do on this island is climb these 6 towers. What the fuck? Okay, but actually, let's take a step back and look at all of this. To me, the reason that Chaos Island did not work with all the 2D sections was that they're put onto an island that is built on exploration and freedom. And the 2D in that island just does not give you any of those because all you can do is move left and right. Yes, the same applies here, but because your objective in this island is to just knock out the 6 towers, I think it works a lot better than it does on Chaos Island. Not only that, but most of the platforming here is actually in 3D, which honestly is probably the best platforming in the entire game. I mean, the whole island is just built on you vertically climbing these huge towers. It makes sense that the platforming was focused on way more than anything else on this island. And in these platforming segments, compared to every other one in the game, it feels like it has a purpose. You know that if you fall down at any point, you are screwed and you are gonna lose some serious ground. And there's a massive orchestra playing this honestly beautiful song. Again, this island does directly go against the whole fundamental design of this game, but to me, it's a lot of fun. Overall, the platforming does a really good job combining all of Sonic's moves that you can do in this game and allowing you to use them in these platforming segments. One of these towers is actually combat oriented. I do think that this tower was a lot of fun, but I do have one problem with it. So back on Chaos Island, you might have been wondering why I brought up the cross slash, and that's because on this island, it's a pain in the ass. So you activate this move by boosting and then pressing the bottom face button. The problem is that bottom face button is also the jump button, and this move pushes you to the left, and multiple times on this island, you will accidentally throw out this move, and it will cost you a very heavy fall. Okay, but the last thing of note that I want to mention on this island. Yes, this island is very empty and there's not a whole lot in it other than these platforming segments. But there's something really ominous about walking around this wasteland. A beautiful green forest that has nothing in it. There is just this entire untouched land that nobody but you has been on. Or you can abuse the drop dash. And now here we are, the final island of Sonic Frontiers. Oranges, it's fucking oranges. Here on Pineapple Island, things will start looking a little bit familiar at this point, because yet again, we see another sign of this game being heavily rushed. Because, just like Rhea, this looks exactly like Kronos. Let me ask you this, am I on the 5th island or the 1st island? I'm on the 4th. In my opinion, having 3 of the game's biomes be the exact same really does hurt the replayability of this game. Because when my options for the islands are literally just grass, sand, volcano, grass, there's not a lot of variety in here. However, what I can still appreciate is that this island still does have a lot of unique mini-bosses. It has brand new forms of the ninja enemy, this time being way more difficult than before. Tower also gets a couple redesigns and additions, but there's 3 in particular that I want to point out. The wolf enemy. This guy fucking sucks. It circles around you, and then all you have to do is parry it away, and then homing attack it, and it's dead. This is honestly like the worst mini-boss in the game. Next up is Caterpillar. The Caterpillar sucks you in onto 2 rails, and then you have to grind around him and only hit the blue orbs and not the red ones. And then he tries to run away while shitting his pants, and then you beat the shit out of him. Honestly, not a bad one, but it was kind of eh. This next one, though, is one of my favorite mini-bosses in the entire game. You activate this pillar, and then this terrifying, taunting, tenacious, toxic, trashy, tentacle threat says hello. But genuinely, when I first came across this thing, it was horrifying. He starts stealing your rings, draining your life, essentially, and you end up chasing him through completely unique platforming segments, and all of them are really fun. It adds a lot more tension to the whole experience, because it feels like you're just playing the game, but now with the ghost looming over you, the stress is a lot higher here. However, not only are these mini-bosses a lot harder, but even the standard enemies get a really big boost. The metallic shields that they defend themselves with are now able to hurt you, and the spike attack can also catch you off guard. However, other than these mini-bosses, nothing really interesting happens on this island. We are now at the 5th island of the game, and it feels like it really needed a fun twist. Now, yes, the 4th island was a completely different direction, but adding something new to this island would have been very welcome. We don't even have a first meeting of sorts with the Titan of this area, and we still have to do the exact same busy work that we've been doing throughout the entire game. There's only one other area of this island that I think does well, and that... the cyberspace levels on this island are perfect. The quality of these stages skyrocket through the roof compared to the other islands. Now yes, in terms of control, Sonic still doesn't feel the best in cyberspace. Except for something that I recently found out, Sonic can not only roll in cyberspace, but it does actually have quite a bit of momentum. There is a little bit of a weird quirk to it though. If you just hold down, Sonic won't actually start moving, but then when you hold down and also right, then Sonic starts rolling and picking up some speed. But just going through these levels, all of them feel super fleshed out and well designed. Starting with 4-1, this level is all 3D, feels very big and spacious, and there's a good amount of both spectacle and optional paths that you can go to. 4-2, the fan favorite. It starts out with a huge road that you're able to explore, and then it opens up tenfold as you have so many optional paths to go on. My only criticism is that I don't really feel like any of them are faster or slower, but the platforming I do in them is a lot of fun, puts your skills to the test, and really lets you breathe it all in. 4-3 feels like a Sonic Adventure 2 level, as it borrows some of the level gimmicks from those stages, and also providing a lot of pathways and secrets for you to find. 4-5 is built on a really genius idea, using Sonic's insane forward momentum in cyberspace to catapult you onto one of 3 paths. These boost panels shoot you really high in the sky, and you have a lot of time to choose which of these 3 paths that you want to go on, and you're able to see what lies ahead in these paths while you're in the air. And 4-9 is actually really interesting, because it utilizes the skateboard for most of the level, and halfway through the level, they reel it back in with a platforming segment, and so shooting you back off into the skateboard. And honestly, I can go more into detail about these stages, but overall, they're just great. But anyways, we exit cyberspace and we return back to Tomato Island, and we have a whole bunch of platforming segments ahead of us. And I'm happy to say that most of the platforming on this island goes back to how it was on Kronos and Ares Island, where most of it is 3D and spectacle based, while also providing the player with some input and control. However, there is still some 2D on this island, but it's not nearly as intrusive as it was on Chaos Island. However, something on this island that is undoubtedly worse than it was on Chaos Island is the cutscene quality. Even on Chaos Island, it's good animation, it's pretty fluid, but when you get to this island, everyone just looks like they have a stick up their ass and they're just slowly spinning to look at the next person. It feels slow and lazy, and like I get it, they were running out of time here, but this just looks really bad. But when it comes to this island, I'm really running out of things to say because almost nothing happens here. For example, the missions. On Kronos Island, we had the grass cutting mission. Ares Island, it was saving the Cocos. Chaos Island had Bridge the Gap. On this one, you just play Galaga. And it's like cool, I guess. Like, it's a little bit fun, but like, what happened to, you know, the actual mission? And after the several hours on this island, we still haven't seen the Titan a single time. Well, I got all the Chaos Emeralds. Let's see what happens. It's just a Giganto recolor. What the hell happened? Like, I'm not even gonna try and make a cool cinematic thing of this Titan, because we literally have no other footage of this guy on this island until he rises out of the ground. I literally know nothing about you other than I'm supposed to kill you. So anyway, out of all of the Titan battles, this one confuses me the most. Supreme here can only be properly fought until you destroy one of the drone things. Then he hits you, like, it forces you to get a hit if you destroy them. Then you parry these beams that go out of his face, and then you can attack him. And repeat this over and over again. Overall, the Titan battles are good, but I think the next best step would have been not to limit them to small arenas or auto sections, but make it so that you can actually fight the Titan across the entire island. Kind of like Wyvern, except on the ground and not in the sky. Because 3 of the 4 Titans are just in a small arena. I feel like they could have been a lot more unique if they employed ideas like Wyvern did. But even then, that's just an idea. I'm sure the Sonic team is able to come up with something a lot more creative than I just did in 5 seconds. But of course, that isn't the final boss. The true final boss is what's lying behind the censored image. What the fuck? Okay, so the big evil enemy of this game is the moon. Literally in the credits, NASA is listed. That is hilarious. But genuinely, whose idea was it to make the hacking mission the final boss of this huge game? This is just the lamest possible way to end this game. And this thing keeps on monologuing the entire time, but because there's no subtitles and the sounds of the bullets are super loud, I can't hear it or understand it. At least the music is fucking phenomenal. Like, this song is amazing. And I will say, this was actually very challenging. I died at least 3 times here, and I think in terms of a challenge, this is a good way to end the game, but in terms of, like, what this game is, this was just a horrible decision. In 5 minutes, this game went from badass supersonic battles to Galaga. You tell me which one you'd rather play. But now, with the end being defeated, I gotta say, I had a blast with this game. Yes, this ending was one of just the worst in a Sonic game. And ending a game like that does leave a very sour impression on a player, but when I look back on this experience, it was just a ton of fun. Yes, this game has flaws. So many flaws. Like, hundreds of flaws. This game is not polished. You can tell it is not polished. But what this game does good is better than almost any Sonic game I've ever played. And when the song One Way Dream plays in the credits, I sympathize with Sonic Team. It really felt like this was a game they wanted to make. A game that'll be so incredible that it'll put Sonic Team's name back on the spotlight. And while I don't think they would 100% reach that goal, they did a damn good job. And I can't wait to see what comes next of this. Thank you, the viewer, so much for watching this series. I have been making this since fucking December. I have been sick. I've had to go through school. I've had track practices. It's been brutal. But after all of that, I'm finally done. Thank you all so much for sticking through this. It's been a blast. I'm pretty sure that I can still fine-tune this style of reviews, but that is for future me to decide, and not me right now. Me right now is gonna go take a nap. But with all of that being said, thank you all so much for watching this review series, and I'll see you next time. Bye.